Welcome to another episode of Talking December 12th, 2011. Less than 2 weeks from Christmas, less than 3 weeks away from New Year's Eve, and then 2012. Man, where does the time go? This time of year, I've seen a lot of posts. People have asked me about Christmas lights. Where do I go to see good Christmas lights? I've got a couple suggestions of the bigger places. Of course, you can drive around, take your chances. Actually, I noticed there was a house on the way to Winchester. Almost as you get into Winchester on the left, it's kind of done up, kind of nice. Trying to remember. I think I saw one in Chesterfield or Spofford area. They look pretty nice. The big ones. La Salette Shrine in Enfield. It's about an hour and a half away. Beautiful place. The entire hillside decorated. They have the nativity scene with the wise men separated because they haven't got there yet. And if you've got your wise men at the creche already, it's wrong. Put them somewhere else in the house, preferably, to be geographically correct, put them somewhere to the west of the creche because they came from the west and headed to the east. So set it up and, be correct with your facts. So that's right, La Salette Shrine in Enfield. It's a great place for lights. And of course, they've got a little place where they sell hot chocolate and warm cider, whatever other Christmas-typey things that they've got. Bright Lights, Springfield, Longmeadow, Mass area. Another great place. It's a drive-through thing. I haven't actually been to Bright Lights because I've heard that you can spend hours in line down there. The place is very popular. And one that I just read about in this past Saturday's paper, Holiday Lights at the Farm. It's at 140 Pond Brook Road in Chesterfield. It's open now through December 18th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I guess nightly. It's a benefit for Jones Food Pantry. They will accept cash donations and non-perishable food items at the gate. And I may have to go check that one out. It's close, And let's deal with the whole Christmas holidays. Is it Christmas? Merry Christmas? Is it Happy Holidays? When my ancestors came to this country, we came to this country to be able to follow the religions that we wanted to follow. To Christians, it's Merry Christmas. That's what the holiday is. It celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ. Plain and simple. Where the whole fir tree, wreaths, candy canes, things like that came in, I'm a little unsure of. But pretty much, it's a birthday party. Happy birthday, Jesus. You're whatever, 2,000 years old or whatever, or you would be. The Jewish people, Festival of Lights, Hanukkah. Not exactly sure exactly what it symbolizes. Oh, actually, yes, I do. It symbolizes, I'm not really an Old Testament guy. Something having to do with the time that the Jewish people spent out in the desert. They were only supposed to have enough oil for one day. It lasted 8 days. So, big celebration. Um, every culture has its own form of Christmas. Face it. We're not the center of the universe. Some people think we are, but we're not. It was thought at one time the Earth was the center of the universe. It's not. And now we act like America is the center of the universe. It's by far not. Um, I don't know. So it's Merry Christmas if you're Christian. If you're Jewish, it's Happy Hanukkah. Um, of African descent, Kwanzaa. And I'm not really sure what that celebration is all about. Uh, and then, of course, you've got Festivus, which is, the Jerry Seinfeld equivalent of, all of the holidays rolled into one, I guess. Um, anyway, it's a time to be joyous. It's a time to give. And these days, face it, about the only thing we give to these days is corporations. Because, what would be a Christmas if you didn't go out and put yourself in debt for all these Christmas presents? Black Friday and Cyber Monday and plaid shirt, shop in your local store Saturday. Uh, it's all a ploy to get your cash away from you, you know? And Christmas isn't really about, you know, material things. Christmas is about the heart. I'm giving a lot of my pictures for Christmas presents this year. Why? Because they mean a lot to me. And they're gifts from the heart. You want to impress somebody, don't go out and spend $500 on a high-def TV for them. Write them a nice heartfelt poem. Something that comes from here. And it'll be appreciated way longer than the TV will. That's the thing. Electronics break, go out of style. You know, true gifts from the heart never fade. All right. And apparently here's a... Because I didn't really know what I was going to talk about today. Because I've been pretty happy lately. And I vented last week like crazy. So I kind of got it all out of my system. And so I actually read the paper on Saturday, and I saw this story about a bill that was introduced by Representative Marsha Blackburn. She's a Republican from Tennessee. And apparently she feels that the TSA is being put on too high of a plateau, maybe. What she wants to do is, it's called the Strip Act. No, it's not about that. It's called Stop TSA's Reach in Policy Act. And what it has to do with is, you know, she's introduced this bill in response to a series of alleged strip searches. One of an 85-year-old grandmother in New York, a pat down of a 3-year-old in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and in Orlando, Florida, checking people's colostomy bags for explosives. Well, I guess if you can blow yourself up with your underwear, you can blow yourself up with your poop. Anyway, Representative Blackburn says that's enough is enough. Uh, she says the least we can do is end this impersonation, which is an insult to real cops. The bill's got 25 co-sponsors, and it would prohibit airport screeners from using the title of officer. It would also ban them from wearing metal badges and any type of a uniform that resembles a police uniform. That means they get the little stripes taken off their pants. Yeah. When the TSA was formed in 2001 after the terrorist attacks, the screeners all wore white shirts with embroidered patches. 2005, the TSA reclassified the screeners as transportation security officers. That was so they didn't have to give them a raise. See, they go, oh, you're not screeners anymore. You are now transportation security officers. New title, same pay. But it sounds cooler. Makes you more important. 2007, they introduced new uniforms in an effort to professionalize the workforce and to boost morale. And in 2008, the metal badges were added. Here's the key. Everybody's up in arms over the TSA and the TSA so-called officers. Truth is, they do not have arrest powers. They do not carry weapons. And they cannot use force like a regular police officer could. John Adler, the president of the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, says, I think it's wrong to strip away the title. It's not the screener's fault. I think the bill in Congress should focus not so much on taking away a title, but in assuring that the training and experience support the title. The union representing the screeners calls the bill an insult. But anyway, you know, I think it's about time. The whole TSA, Homeland Security, it's hogwash. It's a way for the government to put more people on to spy on the American people. We're free people. We should be free to travel in our own country without being hassled, without being strip searched. And granted, there are some bad apple American citizens, homegrown terrorists, if you will, that are out there. And yes, we do have to worry. But it shouldn't be, you know, the government shouldn't have to form a separate branch and group of people dedicated just to that. We used to have that. They were called the INS, Immigration Naturalization Service. They kept track of who was in the country, who was not in the country. At some point, that became, INS became ICE. I'm not sure what ICE stands for. Immigration Customs Enforcement or something. And then all of a sudden it's Homeland Security. We need Homeland Security. Be afraid, be very afraid. They're playing on our fears, and it's not right. I was thinking of something else too. Oh yes. At the same time, that we're trying to keep a handle on the TSA and everything. Something happened a couple weeks ago now, and I can't remember exactly when. But I read an article about a whole bunch of post offices, United States post offices closing in Massachusetts due to budgetary concerns and the simple fact that the United States Post Office is going broke. And to me, that's kind of funny. Because a couple of years ago, seems that all the banks were on the verge of going broke. Private, corporate banks. They didn't close offices. The United States government gave them billions to stay in business. Now think about that. The government will prop up the banks so they can stay in business, but they'll let their own business, the Postal Service, United States Postal Service, they won't give them billions to prop them up. That's kind of funny. To me, it's kind of funny. It has to be kind of funny, or I'd be out probably killing people. Think about it. Wouldn't you do the same? The government will prop up banks who are raping every single citizen of all their money. So the top 3 people in their corporation can live like kings or sheiks or whatever they're living like. Meanwhile, the post office is in danger of going under. The government says, well, maybe it's just time we close that agency anyway. Huh? Maybe the agency we need to close is the House of Representatives or the Senate or any place that lobbyists can get in. All right. I've wasted enough time screaming about that anyway. The fact is, it's weird, I don't know what to think. I don't know where the country's priorities are. Oh, and I had to laugh because, speaking about corporations, we've still got a small contingent, 2 or 3 guys, that come down to the Central Square once in a while and hold up the, Occupy Keene, we are the 99%, down with corporations type of thing. And I was driving by the other day, and I noticed one of them was holding a sign with one hand, and he was on a cell phone with the other hand. You know where I'm going with this? All right. Where's he get his cell phone from? Some big corporation. Occupy protesters? If you're going to complain about corporations, don't use products that support corporations. Seems like a no-brainer if you want to keep your credibility. You can't fight against the evil rich and then, take off on your 32-foot pleasure cruiser on the weekends. It's just not done. Your credibility in the sewer. All right. Let's get to a good story. Because, the whole idea of a greener Christmas, apparently this year just means that no snow. But I have to say, I do believe that after last week's bout in the 60s, I don't think we're going to get a reprieve anymore. I think the 60s are gone until spring. We'll keep our fingers crossed, though, and it'll come in no time. All talk about greener Christmas, Uh, People still hang lights around the house. I mean, big holiday displays. The carbon footprint goes up. You know, how green is that? Uh, Let me give you a fact. In 2010, National Christmas Tree Association reported that 27 million real cut trees were sold. 27 million Christmas trees. Somebody went out, went voopa, 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 voopa with the saw. Here's your tree. That means there were 27 million tree stumps left, which will no longer provide oxygen to the people. Will no longer breathe in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out. Will no longer help with the cycle of life. I saw a story in Saturday's paper with a brilliant idea. Like a real tree. Like a real tree until it's time to pull it out of the house and it sheds all of its dead needles all over your floor. Why not rent a Christmas tree? Yeah, you can do that. There's a couple companies. One of them in San Jose, California, owned by a man named Eric Manning. San Jose Christmas Tree Rental. He rents live Christmas trees in the pots. You take it home, you decorate it, come the beginning of January, boop, he shows up, boop, takes a tree back. Next year, you can go get the same tree. The exact same tree. So if you're a young family with little tiny kids, you start renting these trees, you start with a small one. As your kids grow, the tree grows. How cool is that? Every year you have the same tree. Where did it say? There's a place, Monica Hudson in Carmel, California, co-owner of Rent a Living Christmas Tree, says some people even name the tree they rent. We had one family call and say, "How is Carl doing? We'd like to have him back this year." Carl the Christmas tree. It's very cool. The rentals from Manning's company, San Jose Christmas Tree Rental. His prices range from $95 for a 6-foot tree to $280 for an 11-foot tree. There are extra fees that apply for long distance hauls. And you know, that is a really cool idea because your tree stays alive. You don't kill it. You don't leave a stump. That's a good thing. Miss Hudson, Monica Hudson from Rent a Living Christmas Tree said they rented about 400 Christmas trees last Christmas. And they expect more this year. And the advantages, you know, like I said, the needles don't fall off because it's live, it's living in a pot. And it's a Christmas tree. And the smells, less fire hazard if your Christmas tree is alive. And now remember, back in the old days, before electricity, people would use candles on their trees. Imagine that on their cut down trees. Because there is a sort of satisfaction when you trudge 2 miles out into the woods, find just that perfect tree, hack it down, drag it back out of the woods, you know. And then, of course, at the end of Christmas, you've got the same old dilemma. Old, dead trees on the side of the road out for the city to pick up and take care of. That just costs extra money. But yet, you know, who wants to spend $100 on an artificial tree that's made someplace in the Honduras or China or wherever they make those plastic trees just to, you know, save yourself a little trouble? I don't know. I think it was a cool idea. And, you know, might be neat for some of these nurseries around here to think about something like that. A little business that apparently it's been going on in the Northwest and British Columbia for years. Slowly, the idea is spreading that this is what you can do. All right, well, my time's running down again. Next week, I'm not sure if I'll do a show or not because it's going to be a long week. We're doing at Monadnock High School, we're filming the Town Crier Christmas special next Saturday. If I've got enough energy, I'll get in here on Sunday and do the show. And if not, then, well, I'll do one that will air, a new one that will air the 26th of December. But I do hope to get in next week to make a little pre-Christmas thing. So, another week has come to an end. It's another Monday night. You're sitting in the same place you were last week. I'm sitting in the same place I was last week. And until next week, when we'll meet ourselves in the same place. God, I have to get this all set up. Rick Blood, be good to each other and just enjoy your life. Peace.